Y'all see me draft every night on the live stream, but this is the league I care most about. This is my main redraft league this season. I freaking crushed the draft. I want to give you my strategy behind it. I want to give you why I'm so excited about these players and how you could possibly implement this going forward and maybe some buy low candidates in your league. Now, first, I want to give you the overall backstory of this league. This is a league filled with quote unquote fantasy experts, creators, just guys who care way too much about fantasy football. It has myself, Sal Vetri, the Fantasyland guys, Fantasy Stock Exchange, a fantasy domain, but that's not it. We actually have some casual fantasy football players in here as well. We actually have some of the developers from flockfantasy.com joining us for this league, including just random guys that have only played in one league since high school with their high school buddies. So they're not necessarily diehard fantasy football. Tom at the number one pick has never even played fantasy before. He's just a software developer. So I think this is a great example of what you would expect in the league that you play in, right? You have some guys that are super serious. You have some guys that are just kind of there, and I was able to use that to my advantage, knowing their tendencies to come up with the strategy and dominate this draft. Now, really, I want to just give the overall format before we get into the players. This was a 12-team league where we start one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, two flex spots, a kicker, and a defense. It's a full PPR format, and that is going to matter so much here for my strategy. And what I did all week when I had those other creators on my channel is I was feeling them out. I was saying, okay, are they looking to go wide receivers in the middle rounds? Are they looking to go running back? Because we know how we want to draft early on is dictated by the values that we expect to be there in the middle rounds. And I determined that the values that would be there in the middle rounds for me personally would be running back. And it's a league that we can start 4 wide receivers from week to week perspective. So I decided to go wide receiver early. So you go into round 1 here in this league. And before I get my selection, we had Tom, Thomas, Zach, Austin, Avery, Danny taking CeeDee Lamb, McCaffrey, Tyreek, Bijan, St. Brown, and Breece Hall. So I'm on the clock. The best available running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. The best available wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. And I think given the league format, it's a very easy decision to go ahead and take Jamar Chase at pick 7. So this is the guy that I'm building my team around this year. This is the player that I'm very nervous about. But then going over to round 2, I mean, there are some crazy values that you see here happen at the 1-2 turn. You actually have Justin Jefferson falling down to pick 10 in this draft. You actually have Joe, who is one of the developers, deciding to go with Harrison Gibbs at the 1-2 turn, giving Nathan Puka Nacua at pick 14. So moving this all the way down, I'm in the middle of the second round, and I have a couple different options that I'm looking at. I have Nico Collins available, Jalen Waddle available, Kyron Williams, Deebo Samuel, Derrick Henry. My favorite running back on the board right now is Kyron Williams. My favorite wide receiver on the board is Nico Collins. And what I would recommend for you, if you played in the league with only 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I think Kyron Williams in that kind of format is going to have more value than Nico Collins, because in that league, you don't really have the ability to just draft a ton of receivers and put them all into your starting lineup. And also, wide receivers probably going to be extremely valuable once you get to rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I knew that would not be the case in this format. So I decided to maybe mix it up a bit. I decided to go ahead and take Nico Collins here. We are going to go ahead and take Nico Collins.
Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And by the time we are back up on the clock, this is maybe where I wish I could get into a time machine and change some things. The best available wide receiver was Devonta Smith. The best available tight end was Sam Laporta. The best available quarterback was Josh Allen. And the best available running back was Josh Jacobs. Now, if you played in a league where you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I think it's very easy to see that Josh Jacobs is the guy that you want to be going with, especially now that we know that AJ Dillon is going to be on the IR. I think Josh Jacobs is an absolute smash of a pick, even in the 3rd round of your redraft league. You know, I've been drafting him nonstop in round 5 of Underdog drafts, and I'd highly recommend, if you are in an Underdog draft, whether it's the Flock tournament, whether if it's the $3 mini Schnauzer, whatever it is, if you can load the boat on Josh Jacobs in the late 4th, early 5th round there, I would highly recommend it. Now, of course, if you're not already drafting on Underdog, we'll let you know it is by far and away the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year. There's no time commitment at all during the season, so it's not going to replace the league that you care most about, but it's just going to be some extra fun on the side. And if you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet, Plus, you are also going to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, a Christian McCaffrey special pick of more than less than half a total yard for week 1, and a Travis Kelce special pick of more than less than half a total yard for week 1 as well. You're going to get both of those, so make sure you take advantage. But we decided to go with Devonta Smith. Going back to us knowing our league mates, knowing that we were going to be able to find running back values in the later rounds. I think if we would have gone elsewhere, probably would have been Jacobs. But in round 4, I'm extremely happy on our decision to pass on Sam Laporta in the 3rd because we actually get Sam Laporta falling to us in the middle of the 4th round.
Considering the punishment in this league, and I don't want to get last, I'm avoiding the stack. We're going to go Sam Laporta.
Now, in a league with 2 flex spots, tight end and quarterback, they aren't going to be as important as a league with only 1 flex. And the reason for that is in a league with only 1 flex, quarterback and tight end is going to make up a very high percentage of your starting lineup output. But here, we still decided to go with Sam Laporta in the middle of the 4th. I mean, the receiver that went right after him was Rashee Rice. The running back that went right after him was Alvin Kamara. You can make an argument to go with Jalen Hurts, but just trust me on this. You're going to see my overall strategy near the end of this with Hurts. And then following it up in the 5th round, we take Amari Cooper.
Don't want to fall too far behind at wide receiver, so we're going to go Amari Cooper.
Now, I think that the positional value here was for sure to go with another receiver. Keep in mind, when we take our 4th wide receiver, this is still someone we're able to put into our starting lineup. And we know in a full PPR format, wide receiver is going to be more advantageous than running back, specifically for those flex spots. And like I said, I know these league mates. I know we are going to get running back values later. So I go ahead. I take Amari in round 5. The only regret I could possibly have here is I didn't know Tank Dell was on the board. I mean, if you're using my rankings, you will see that I have Tank Dell ranked ahead of Amari Cooper. But I, at this point of the draft, was just drafting off vibes. I mean, it was pretty much a party at the house that we had going. As soon as I got up on the clock, I was like, oh my gosh, Amari's still there. Let's go ahead. Let's draft Amari Cooper round 5.
Not going to lie. If I knew Tank Dell was there, I would have drafted him. We're drafting off vibes right now, so little bit of mistake, but still, positionally, we are exactly where we want to be. These guys are about to panic at wide receiver.
I probably would have been better off if I just printed out my rankings and we were just scratching off guys as they went. I thought Tank Dell was already got. Regardless, wide receiver was the pick here. Now, going to round 6, this is the last time we made that mistake of not necessarily understanding the board. I see Terry McLaurin staring at us in the middle of round 6. We all know Terry McLaurin's been going the late 4th on Underdog all offseason. I think that price point is absolutely ludicrous. I would not take him there. But in a full PPR format where the wide receiver tier's about to dry up, the wide receivers that are available after this are Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson, Jordan Addison. I think Terry McLaurin is a much better option than these other players. And I go ahead, I pulled the trigger on Terry McLaurin.
I'm going to continue to play y'all like a fiddle. We're going Terry McLaurin.
Now, my initial plan was this was the round that we were going to pivot over and we were going to start taking running backs. But to be honest with you, and you'll see this real quick if you've seen the Flock League vlog. It's not on this channel. If you just look up Flock League on YouTube, you can find it. We made a vlog. I had to make a confessional after this. I was getting roasted as well.
This is going off the rails. I'm not going to lie. I thought Montgomery was the best available running back. Went McLaurin. And then Kenneth Walker went right after, who I would have taken like 3 rounds before. So RIP.
We are 6 rounds in, and Mason has not taken a running back. Mason's an idiot.
He goes no running back, and he gets Kenneth Walker in the 6th, and then he doesn't take him.
I thought David Montgomery was the highest ranked running back available. Did not realize Kenneth Walker was still there, but you live and you learn. We go with Terry McLaurin, and our plan goes perfectly. At this point, we are sitting with 5 solid wide receivers in a full PPR format where we can start 4 every single week. We have the elite level tight end, and now all we need is to just overload the running back position with depth throughout. At this point of the draft, I know I'm not going to take another wide receiver. Very rarely are the late round wide receivers going to pop up to be league winners, especially after you have the tier of guys going like Hollywood Brown's already off the board. I mean, at that point, you're looking at guys like Jerry Jeudy, Joshua Palmer, Khalil Shakir. I don't think any of them are going to turn into a league winner in this format. I would rather swing for the fences on a running back like DeAndre Swift. So we shift gears here. We pivot over and we go hard into the running back position. We immediately grab James Conner because if you are looking at James Conner, this is a running back that we know we can start at the beginning of the season. And that is incredibly important with these 0 RB builds because obviously we are going to be making a ton of moves on the waiver wire throughout this season at the running back position. This isn't Underdog. It's not like there is no waiver wire. No, we're going to be able to go hit waivers. We're going to try to find the next Kyron Williams, but we still need somebody to start early on. James Conner looks like a locked and loaded 3-down running back for the first half of the season. I'm about to put out my week 1 running back rankings on this video. James Conner will probably be a borderline top 12 running back in those. Really like getting him where we did. Then following up with that, we need to go ahead. We need to take another running back that has starting running back upside that we can immediately plug and play as our RB2 in this league. So when we get to round 8, we take DeAndre Swift.
Top 3 running backs still available. Don't know how. We're going to go James Conner. Shout out Badaki for making sure I knew he was available. DeAndre Swift.
Now, in your regular redraft league, James Conner's probably not going to make it to round 7. DeAndre Swift's probably not going to make it to round 8. And for that reason, what you should do instead is you should go with running backs early. But because it's a double flex league, because I knew these other creators were going to give us running back values later, that's why we decided to push it and we get these great values at RB. Then we go ahead and at this point, we are just shooting for upside at running back later, right? We understand we're elite at wide receiver. We're elite at tight ends. At running back, we're underweight, but we are going to go quantity over quality and hope that we can find one of these guys that breaks out. So we go Tajee Spears here.
James Conner's RB3 overall my rankings. Tajee Spears is actually RB4. Can't believe he made it this far.
As a committee back in Tennessee, that if we get desperate, we can throw him into the starting lineup. But if he does turn out to be the starting running back here for whatever reason, all of a sudden, it's a great pick. Then afterwards, we actually see Trey Benson.
We're going to go down to RB5 in my rankings. We're going to go Trey Benson.
And we're able to combine Trey Benson's late season upside with the early guaranteed touches that we have with James Conner. So we go ahead, we take Trey Benson. The wide receivers going around him are Adonai Mitchell, Dontavian Wicks. And so I'm very excited about getting Benson here. And one thing that I want to point out is, yes, we're in the portion of the draft where all of a sudden you want to say quarterback's the best value. And if you're on Underdog, where obviously everybody's drafting 2 to 3 starting quarterbacks because there's no waiver wire and it is best ball, it's tough to read the room and go, okay, I know that guy's not taking a quarterback. I know that guy's not taking a quarterback. I know that guy's not taking a quarterback. But by the time we get to like rounds 10 and 11, I think a lot of other people, they would panic and they would maybe reach on someone like Tua Tagovailoa. But what I identified is every other team in this draft pretty much had already had their quarterback situation figured out. So at that point, what I decided to do is I decided to just hammer in running backs because you were going to see more teams in this league decide to go with RBs, expecting that we are going to be able to get quarterbacks later on, which is exactly what happened. So after we take Spears, Benson, we decide to take Austin Eckler as our 5th running back on this team. Seems maybe a little bit aggressive taking a 5th running back by round 11, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, we pass on the guys early. I think that Eckler, based off the full PPR formats, is going to give us usable weeks that if we need a depth play, we can go ahead and we can throw him in. Then once we take Eckler, there are only 5 rounds left in this draft. This is where I'm looking around going, okay, there's a chance that the developers, there's a chance that Thomas, the person editing this video, they're going to go ahead, they're going to take a second quarterback. So I figured, all right, let's get some of these quarterbacks that are at the top of this next tier. We decided to grab Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy back to back. Now, this may have been a mistake because at this point of the draft, obviously, what we are shooting for here and our goal and what we need to do to win this league, because we're already winning it at wide receiver, we're already winning it in the flex spots, we're already winning it at tight end, is we need to make sure that we are solving our running back issue. So what I think I would have rather done instead of taking Brock Purdy here is I think we should have just gone ahead and taken Tyler Algier. Sal ended up getting Tyler Algier at the end of round 13. The thing is, if we would have taken Algier here, we still could have got another quarterback that looked like Brock Purdy in the next round. There's a chance Purdy would have made it to us. If he didn't, we could have gone with Jared Goff. So I think we should have just gone ahead and we should have taken another running back with this pick. And then one thing that I want to discuss is, while I have not played in a league with kickers and defenses in a very long time, I think if you are in a league where the majority of your league mates are not going to take a kicker or a defense early, you should not wait to the last 2 rounds to grab yours. Because let's go through this hypothetical situation, which you see play out in the Flock League right here. Everybody, or essentially almost everybody, drafts a kicker and a defense in the last 2 rounds. So that means really round 14 is the last round of the draft for offensive skill positional players. So that means the vast majority of guys that are taken in round 14, such as Roshan Johnson, such as Troy Franklin, such as Antonio Gibson, those are going to be players, like DJ Chark as well, that end up getting cut after week 1 of the season. So if the rest of your league mates decide to pass on kicker and defense, and they're instead taking these guys 3 rounds before the end of the draft, that they're most likely going to be the first ones out the door, what you should just go ahead and do instead is you should get the elite level defense just the round before the second to last.
This guy's getting cut. This guy's getting cut. This guy's getting cut. This guy's getting cut. I'm taking the defense number 1. We're going to go with the Niners D.
So we go ahead, we take the Niners defense. We get our kicker right after in Cameron Dicker because we know everybody in this round is just going to be taking kickers and defenses. We'll get the running back we want in the last round regardless. You can see this draft board. I'm the only person who takes a running back in the last 2 rounds. So we grab the Niners. We grab Cameron Dicker. Full transparency, I have no idea if Cameron Dicker's a good option. All I know is hook 'em horns. He was my kicker when I was at UT. And then we go Tank Bigsby in the last round. And Tank Bigsby is a great example of somebody to roster at the very bottom end of our team, where if Travis Etienne goes down due to an injury, whether that's before the season or week 1, then all of a sudden starting running back, bam, that's how we win this league. And if he doesn't, who cares? We're going to go ahead. We're most likely cutting this guy after week 1 anyway for whoever flashes off the waiver wire, because my early season strategy here is going to be churn the waiver wire, find the next Kyron Williams. We hit off 1 running back off waivers. Then all of a sudden we have the best team in this league. But I am super excited to keep you all updated with this team through the course of the entire year. We're actually going to do a weekly podcast recapping this league every single week on the Flock League YouTube channel. Just look it up on YouTube. I'm probably not going to link it anywhere if you're interested. And yeah, I'll be letting y'all know on this channel as well how we're doing, because this is the league I care most about. But thank you again. Of course, I'm still drafting every single night. Underdog drafts. Those are the best drafts to get in on top of your regular fantasy football league, because they have no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. You can find that link in the description in the comment section. If you use code FLOCK, you're going to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, a Travis Kelce special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, and a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em more than less than half a total yard on top of that. That is a Flock exclusive. And last but not least, we'll get my rankings, draft guide, and ADP consensus cheat sheet. Real quick before I log off, if you are interested in being an intern this football season for Flock Fantasy, email me, mason.dodd@flockfantasy.com. What we're looking for, guys or girls that love fantasy football, that have 5-ish days available every single week. In college, if you need college credits, hit me up. And really looking forward to talking to you. Have to be willing to commit a decent amount of time. Love fantasy football and be excited about the opportunity. But much love. Really do appreciate you. And really hope I get to draft with you in the live stream tonight.